Hello, this is Postdoc Chronicles, week number 79, and today we're featuring the game Darkest Dungeon. Today's Valentine's Day, so the backdrop of Darkest Dungeon is red, so I think it's so apt. I love this game very much. I have it on my Nintendo Switch. I have it here on my PS Vita, right there, and I also have it on my iPod, the iPad, Apple iPad that I have, the 9.7 inch, and I also have it on my MacBook Pro. And then each of those things I have like different save files among them, but mostly I play on the Nintendo Switch because like on the Vita I really love it. The colors pop because of the OLED screen. However, the issue with the Vita is that the fonts are a little bit very tiny, so yeah, you have to get used to it. But on the Switch it's really very nice, and on the Switch you have the option to control it with a touch screen or with the buttons, while on the PS Vita it's a combination of the controls. But Darkest Dungeon is very nice, man. Ruin has come to our family. You remember our venerable house, opulent and imperial? So that's like a very dark, eerie introduction about this guy who owns a very nice mansion, and then he tired of the usual extravagance of the rich people. So what he did is he learned that his mansion houses some dark secrets. So he spends most of his money digging stuff, and then he unearths some ancient evil, and you have to go there and save the house of your ancestors. And yeah, so the basic gameplay of Darkest Dungeon, it is basically a dungeon crawler, but it's very unique because it has this stat known as stress level of your character. So not only do you have HP and stuff, but your characters, as they go to the darkest dungeon, they get stressed. So what you do is you have this hub that you try to develop. So you have like a hub with a place where they can heal, where you can hire additional units, where you can level up them, where you can buy items and stuff. And also in the hub you have like a church, you have like a gambling den, you have like an area for prostitution. It's because every time your units, your characters, your party, four of them, you send them into the dungeon. Every time they come back, most of the time they get stressed. So it's not like the monsters that you will see on the dungeon. Not only do they inflict damage, they also inflict stress. And the thing about stress is that when it maximizes, more often than not, your character will become like insane or something, and then a lot of crazy things happen. Sometimes like they won't listen to you. Sometimes they attack your own their own allies. Sometimes they scramble the position. And it's really very important because in the darkest dungeon, positioning is very important when you walk into the map. So the map is like randomly generated. There are four of you, and then it's like a 2D dungeon crawler where you can see both the enemies on the right side, and then your units on the left side. And then what happens is they are on a line. So usually the tank people are on the front, and then usually the healers and stuff are at the back. And then usually you want that line to be in a specific order, because there are specific skills and their specific attacks only work when they are on a specific position along that line. The moment it gets scrambled, it's really stressful. For example, the moment your tank goes at the back, and then your healer goes to the front, then you have to, during the battle, you have to rearrange stuff. And then the enemies are attacking you. The enemies are like introducing stress to you. And then stress is very very prevalent. Like when an enemy hits a critical hit on one of your allies, some of them will be affected by stress. When you walk through the dungeon, you have this torch, that you have one of your items, which is the torch, that you need to light up, because the moment it gets darker and darker, as you spend more and more time in the dungeon, then their stress level also increases. So it's really very amazing. It, even you as a player, it gets stressful. So even though the characters, like, they seem to be disposable, because every run there are a new batch of characters all the time. And it's really very very unforgivable, because sometimes you have like a very strong character already, and then you have a team, and then you bring them to like a hard dungeon, for example, and then they all get wiped up. You don't get them back. Like, you don't get to revive them. They end up in a cemetery, and then you have to train a new batch of recruits again. They'll go back again from level zero. So in that way, it's really a pretty hard game. But when it clicks, it's a very good and amazing game. But anyway, going to the Post of Chronicles. So finally, this week I was able to make it work. The HEP-MC, the HEP-MC problem in the Pythia MUED implementation. So I was talking about this last week where I got stuck because every time the Pythia MUED implementation, every time it calls on Pythia, and when Pythia calls on the HEP-MC, it couldn't find the library. But then when I just make Pythia work on its own, and then it calls on HEP-MC, it works. So it was very weird. It turns out the solution was very simple, and it was something that I didn't think of right away, because usually when you include and when you link libraries, you usually have a syntax, for example, minus L Pythia 8, something like that. So in linking, when using the Pythia MUED, in linking the HEP-MC, I use the syntax minus L HEP-MC2, okay, because the version of HEP-MC that is currently being used is HEP-MC2. In fact, one of the open qualification tasks in Atlas is trying to build if or make the latest version of the HEP-MC, which is HEP-MC3, work, because that's like the new format. So we have like the whole HEP-MC. Currently we have HEP-MC2, and then we have the new format HEP-MC3. Deepak and I thought that was like a hard QT, so we didn't go for that. But anyway, so the current version is HEP-MC2. So when I link the library, I do minus L HEP-MC2. It turns out that even though you're using the HEP-MC2 version, the syntax that you should be using is minus L HEP-MC without the 2. So like I tried a lot of variations of whatever things that I need to do. I edited a lot of like scripts. I edited a lot of text files, and then the solution is just that trivial. You shouldn't use the 2. So very very insane. But now it's working. So I'm now able to produce some plots out of the MUED implementation. I'm now able to generate a gluon to, let's say, KK gluon pair that ends up into, let's say, a KK photon and a gluon, and then I'm now starting to study it. So the nice thing is I'm now seeing the uncertainty that we want to see in the because in our old implementation in MadGraph, and we can't see that uncertainty. We see it, for example, in compressor C, but we cannot see it in the Pythia MUED. So that's why we use this specific implementation from the paper that was published like in 2018. But I'm still like studying, so mainly the main one-to-one example of Pythia, because Jong said we should be seeing a lot more uncertainty than the one we're seeing in the current distributions that I'm producing. So Jong said try studying the main one-to-one example, and see what are the different shower variations I can play around with, so that we can reproduce the uncertainties that we want to see. And also this week is the official kickoff of my qualification task, which is the validation of the Pythia 8.3, like I said, and the preparation of jet samples from that current version of Pythia. So currently, Atlas framework is using Pythia 8.244 to generate MC events, and there's a new one that uses two shower models. So I need to validate that. I need to study if the physics makes sense. I need to validate it with the existing Atlas results, and then I need to prepare jet samples and then some job scripts out of that. So that's what I'm doing right now. So in the kickoff, a lot of people. So Deepak is, of course, obviously my local supervisor, but my technical supervisor, the guy who's like the expert when it comes to like MC generation within the Athena or the Atlas framework, is this guy named Giancarlo. I forgot his family name, maybe like Panizzo or something like that. But yeah, so we were in correspondence now, and then I'm now trying some stuff. Like right now, I'm trying to familiarize myself how 8.244 is being called within the Athena framework before I play around with the 8.3 implementation. So the Athena Atlas, I made a fork out of that, and then also Giancarlo, he has a fork
from his own fork, he has a particular branch which is already Pythia 8.3 compliant. But he mentioned, from what I remember, he mentioned that there are still some stuff that he couldn't run. There were still some bugs. So these are the things that I need to sort out, and then I need to make sure that the 8.3 implementation could run in the different modes of Athena, like standalone and shower and whatever. But anyway, this has been Postdoc Chronicles week number 79. I'll see you next time on Postdoc Chronicles week number 80. Thanks so much for watching, and bye bye.